Hey guys, welcome back to HRG TV. My name is Ben, and today we're installing a tube bumper from Camping Randy on a 2022 Ridgeline. Now, if you're interested in buying one of these, you can get them at campingrandy.com. I do not have a camera guy today because literally everybody that works at HRG is sick, including me a little bit. So basically, I'm going to take you through the step-by-step process of installing this bumper and a winch. We're also going to be installing some lights on this thing. These are diode dynamics. They actually came with the bumper, and also these Baja lights are going to get hooked up as well, and they're all going to be ran from our light controller. This is basically the relay box. This is going to get mounted right in here, so there'll be a little bit more to this video than just the bumper itself. We're going to be doing some lights as well. Basically, all of this here, and including this here, is going to get cut off and completely removed. So if you're at this point in the video and just now realizing that you have to cut the factory bumper to put the new bumper on, it's not for everyone, because this is a permanent modification, although there's nothing saying you couldn't just put another bumper cover back on in the future. But as far as this bumper, it's gone. So just keep that in mind before you purchase a bumper for this. And it's been snowing a lot up here in North Carolina, and the roads are covered with this sandy, salty crud. So to work around that, if you're wondering, this is an angle tool that I got from Home Depot about 25 years ago. I think they still sell them, but it's basically just a little right angle driver. Just basically removing all these screws that hold this fender liner in. All right, get that out of the way. Okay, there we go. There we go. It's just plastic clips that hold it in, and these just pop loose, and then this here kind of plugs into that little piece right there, which you don't have to disconnect this bottom piece. It's all going to come off as one, because we're going to cut it right about there. Okay, now we're going to move on to the other side. So pretty much the same thing over here. Just going to take the screws out, get this fender liner out of the way. More right there. You don't have to pull too hard. It just pops out, just like that. Okay. All right. Should free that up. Yeah, there we go. Okay. This Ridgeline actually has the no-low skid plates as well as an HRG off-road 2.5-inch lift kit on it. Basically, part of this plastic piece has to be removed to facilitate that installation. So your Ridgeline might be a little bit different right now as far as what the procedure is. I think basically you just have to take off these three, and then the bumper will come off. All that's got to come off to do the tube bumper anyway, so just take off whatever you need to in order to free the bumper cover up. All right, the next thing you're gonna do is take off these two screws. There's only one on each corner. And you will not be reusing most of these. Just gonna break that one. There we go. There we go. Get that out of there. You don't need to concern yourself too much with being careful. You know, just pull these out. Okay. I think that's pretty much got everything. Okay, now that we've gotten all of the clips and screws, dang. We're gonna deal with the wiring. No, this is your harness right here that has to be disconnected. Okay, this is a two-hand job. Hands, there we go. Okay. All right, up top, we're just gonna pull this panel, pull up on it, and it comes right off. Two clips on each side. And then you just pull it out carefully. Set that somewhere right there. And a couple of screws that are gonna attach the grill, but the grill is basically bolted to the bumper, so all this has to come out. A screw there. A screw there. And then I think two more on this side. and just save these. Okay, now from here, it's just a matter of pulling it off. This has already been pulled off. Interesting. Well, that's supposed to clip on. You can see, I think the clips must be broken or something. So there's a good chance this thing's been apart before, but this one's still on. I'll show you. There you go. It sounds alarming, but nothing really to worry about. So I think we're loose at the bottom, loose at the top. I think the clips that are holding it on right now are right here. Shit, there's 2 more screws. Get those out real quick. Might not have to take all 3 of those. I'm not really sure, honestly. I've done this job once before, but it's been 6 months ago. Okay. Pull there. And I want to say there's just clips under the lights. Right under here. I think it just clips in. I don't want to pull too hard because I don't want to break anything. Yeah, okay. It looked a little bit scary, but it's just clips. And there's one little male clip that sticks into it right here that's holding the whole thing on. So go ahead and get this side off. You have to pull harder than you think. It's a little bit scary. And when it comes off all at once. Just keep a good grip on it and you'll be all right. Oh. See what I mean? Just comes off all at once. I'll be honest with you, it'd probably be better to have a helper so that doesn't happen. But the good news is the bottom half of this bumper is getting cut off anyway. I didn't show you guys this, but there was one more wire back here. All right, the next step is we're gonna be taking this crash bar off, and along with a few other things. Pretty much all this stuff that's right here has to be taken out. So there's 2 bolts right here. Go ahead and knock those out of there. And then there's 2 bolts in there, and these little holes here. That should be it. Should be able to just grab this, pull it right off. Don't need this where we're going. There's a few more little things we got to deal with. I'm not really sure what this goes to. This tube leads to the battery tray. If you know what this is for, put it in the comments down below because I have no idea. So right here, just pop more of these clips off. Right, we're just gonna take this whole thing off of here. I honestly don't remember if this has to come off or not, but I'm just trying to get everything out of the way so we can assess what we gotta do here. And then right there. Let's get this out of the way. At this point, I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw the bumper on just to see what it looks like and figure out what else we're gonna have to cut. This is another job that's easier with a helper because this is a heavy bastard. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take this off just so it doesn't get broken. I'm gonna try to do my best to not scratch this thing, but I'll be honest with you, this is not gonna be an easy task. I predict I'm gonna knock that cardboard right off of there, but we'll see. All right, so what I'm looking at here is the way this lines up here, the way this lines up with the mount. You've got another little tab that supports the bottom, and that's gonna line up under here. And I think it is intended to go on this little piece here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that bolt out, and hopefully that'll allow it to slide into place. I don't know, I guess I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna try to get it up on this, on the jack stands. Okay, it's supported. Oh, that's actually pretty close, look at that. All right, I already see an issue. let's pull it back off for a second. I'll show you what I mean. There's a little hook right here that supports the crash bar that's got to be flattened, because where it mounts up, this plate is flat and there's no notch or hole for this little tab right here. So I'm gonna beat that flat with a hammer. All right, we just went ahead and mocked up the bumper. And basically, I just used a pair of jack stands to support it. And the idea here is that we're gonna see what all needs to be modified and moved around. We're also gonna be doing a winch, obviously, so that's part of this deal. And to do the winch, it has to exist in the same space as this oil cooler here. So this oil cooler has to be moved. We'll figure something out on it and we'll make it work. There we go. Sloppy, but effective. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and admit that it would have been easier to disconnect this before putting the bumper on this video. I don't know why they put so many bolts in this thing. All right, the last bolt is right there, up underneath. That's what was holding this up, that's why we couldn't get it off. It's that one little bolt right there. All right, I got a little bit better of an idea where this is gonna go. Just kind of have to finesse it into place here. But if you look at where this is gonna sit, there's a little opening in the actual shape of the winch that this will fit into. And then you should be able to get the bolt to go right there. See where there's a bolt hole? I think it'll bolt in right there. All right, we're gonna move on to everyone's least favorite activity, and that is the wiring. Basically, you got a couple of parking sensors, and then you've got this temperature sensor. I think I can reuse this. But all this harness is all gonna have to come out and it's gonna have to be tucked away somewhere where it doesn't show. But there is not a provision on the bumper to mount these parking sensors. So this is gonna be disabled. So that's something to consider when you're looking at this bumper, if you wanna do it or not. You might just consider that. All right, got a bit of an update. Battery went dead, so I missed a bunch of footage, unfortunately, but I'm gonna just take you through what I did. Basically pulled the wires through right around here, and the wires for the lights, I kind of just bundled everything up, and this is all gonna go right up in there, nice and neat, and we'll hook it all up in just a minute. But basically, just wanted to kind of give you a little tour of what we've gotten finished here. So everything is bolted in permanently. It isn't gonna be coming back out at this point. As I mentioned before, this has our HRG 2.5-inch lift kit on it, which comes with a 1-inch subframe kit. Basically, you just loosen this one up and then put this one in, and this has enough flex in it that it doesn't matter with this little 1/8 of an inch piece sandwiched in between, so everything still fits just fine. The last part of it's going to be cutting that to make it fit. All right, the wiring for the Baja lights, basically just routed it inside this chase rack here, zip tied it all nice and neat, a little piece of loom. But what's cool is if you pull this little weather stripping back right here, you can pop the wire through right here. And then I basically just tucked it under this. So the wire enters right here. And then from here, it drops down into the fender well. And all you gotta do is reach behind this from the bottom and you can get the wire. I'll show you that in a second. So it did come with a little bit of loom, so I used that right up under the hood, so it kind of dresses it up just a little bit, so there's not just gafus wires dangling around. So I whipped up this little bracket in CAD and just made it on our laser. But this is gonna mount the relay box basically right in here. So using a factory bolt, I had to cut the harnesses off of these lights here because we're using this control box. So these bare ends will just attach right here to these terminals, and basically kind of shortened up all the grounds and put them all together in one lug there. Got everything hooked up, and I just temporarily wired up the control panel here. Went ahead and program button 1 here is the Baja lights. So hit that when the Baja lights come on, and this one does the bumper lights. Basically those ones there. And then those have the backlighting. So one of them is gonna be amber and one of them is gonna be red. This has got to go inside the car somewhere, so I got to figure that out next. Not looking forward to that. A lot of wires, so it's kind of tough to do a neat job. I don't know, I think I'm gonna get some flack for this because it isn't really very neat. honestly. I mean, I'm not completely done. I'm still gonna put some more zip ties and try to tie it up a little nicer, but it's just a lot of wires. Next, we're gonna go ahead and separate this bottom half of the bumper from the top half. And I think basically all you have to do is unclip all the way across all these little clips. And to do that, you basically, I think you just have to pull them like that. The problem is I can't do this while I'm holding the camera. So I'm gonna put this down and get this done because it's getting late in the day. It's already 3:30. I've been at this since 8 o'clock this morning. So I'm gonna try and knock this part out real quick. There's the harness. I'm gonna try to save this, but I don't know what we're gonna do with any of the rest of it. Oh my God, fucking pain in the ass. The fuck is holding this on here? Ah, there we go. All right. I don't know what else to do but to just keep on pulling these pieces off. I'd say this is definitely the worst part of this job, is taking the factory bumper apart. What a pain in the butt. Ah. There it goes, okay. Got that somewhere safe. One more, I think. There it goes. All right. So now we can sort of see where this has got to get cut and kind of lay it up there and just see kind of what's happening. I'm going to cut this bottom part off right here, basically this whole line. I'm just going to cut that off and then position the bumper on to see how it fits. On the last one, I had to cut it right about here, but we'll see. I'm using an air saw. I'm not sure what else you would use. Some other kind of saw, I guess. And this isn't going to be the final cut, so I'm not going to worry too much about the paint. Otherwise, I'd probably put masking tape on the paint to protect it, but... I'm not gonna worry about it too much. All right, now I'm gonna cut this part. If this makes you nervous, You definitely don't want this bumper. Okay. Now let's just see where it lands. I'm sure I'll have to cut more, but let's just lay it up here and see. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's definitely going to have to be cut a little bit more. You can see it's kind of there. We got to go down and over a couple of inches, but it's hitting right there. So we definitely need to cut that part. But like right here, this will just drop down, right? So we might not even have to cut that at all. And then this part might drop down as well. So we may only be looking at cutting right here. All right, what I want to do is cut this a little bit at a time. So I've got this line that is basically level with the factory line, and then this line which is parallel to the factory line right here. And I know this is going to be in the way of this bar, so I'm going to just start by cutting this little part right here out. The other truck I did, I just cut this all the way across and it looked just fine. But I was going to see if I could leave a little bit more of that painted area. So let's start there and see what happens. Okay. Let's just take a look. Oh yeah. See, we're a lot closer now. See, that's got to kind of meet up with it. So I think we're going to do the same thing on the other side and just see what that does. I might have to cut that off as well. All right, so I'm going to cut the 3 inches off the bottom of that as well. It's hard to be surgically precise with one of these, but that's all I got. All right, a little better. Ooh, it almost goes. That's gonna have to come off a little more. I think we might be all set on that part. It's just this. So how about, how many more inches do I think it needs? So let's come off a couple more inches there. And then this needs to come up about another 2 inches. A little rough, but we can clean that up with a file. That's on. How does it look? Yeah, not too bad, actually. One more cut, and we're gonna call it good. All right, I might have gotten a little ambitious here, but I wanted to just see if I could get the parking sensors to hook back up. And I just basically zip tied them to the existing bumper. I am not 100% certain that that is going to work. I'm worried that it might sense this and think it's about to hit something. So I guess we got to test it and make sure that it is going to work or not, and then I'll disconnect them if so. I moved the temperature sensor right to here. I just basically zip tied it, as you can see, right to the bottom of the bumper right there. I might have to flip it over onto the top so it'll be a little more protected. But basically all the harnesses are plugged back in. The only thing the car's not going to see are the two lights. So I'm not sure if there's going to be a warning light on the dash for those, but I can't hook those back up. So they're just going to have to be like they are. Last thing we got to do before we finalize this job is we got to cut the fender liner. So I'm going to do that real quick and I'll show you how it looks. All right, that's after the fender liner's been trimmed. So as you can see, I basically just followed the contour of where the old bumper meets up with it, and just brought it back down to this one connector right here. This does leave a lot of stuff exposed, unfortunately, but there's really no way to get around that because there is no support for the fender liner anymore. It's just by design, the way this bumper is. And you know, again, like I've been saying throughout this whole process, if you want to do this bumper, obviously there are some compromises. And I'm just being clear with you guys. I think it's worth it because the bumper looks awesome. It's going to give this Ridgeline a distinctive look. Plus it is functional. The only way to put a winch on a Ridgeline is to use this particular bumper. So, you know, it's one of those things you have to make the sacrifices if you want to get the benefit. But I really love how this is turning out. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the last of this, and we're going to put it on the ground and see what it looks like. I got to looking at it and realized it wouldn't be too tough to remount these ring lights right here. So basically just took a self-tapping screw and ran it into this frame rail right here. And then I'm going to just zip tie this up. And then I might just hit this with a little bit of spray black so it doesn't stick out so much. And then wire these up, and that should take care of that. So he will have turn signals. All right, and there you have it. There's the bumper done. I think it turned out pretty nice overall. Pain in the butt to do, but you know, I spent, I think, about 8 hours on this so far, among other things. But let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next video.